Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of my neural networks from scratch series. In the last two videos we learned about the theory behind how neural networks work. We learned about feed-forward, gradient descent and backpropagation, and we also saw the equations used for these. So today we'll put everything we learned together to create our own neural network. So to do that, first we'll create a layer class and initialize our parameters. Next, we will implement the feed-forward function. Then we will implement our backpropagation function. And finally, we will put everything together and implement the binary ZOR function using the network we created. So first of all, I've imported NumPy. So this will be used to make our mathematical calculations easier. And I have also defined the tanh and sigmoid activation functions along with their derivatives. I have also defined my loss function and its derivative. So these are all standard functions that are used in neural networks, and I have created the simplest implementations for each. Also, we'll be using the logarithmic loss function or log loss to calculate the cost of our network. And the reason we are using this is because we are going to implement the ZOR function today. So the output will be a binary 0 or 1. Thus, this can be considered as a classification problem since the output is 0 or 1, and log loss is good for classification problems. Also, the activation function used in the output layer is the sigmoid activation function, which gives us a probability between 0 or 1. This is also another reason for using the log loss function to calculate our loss. So maybe I'll talk more about activation functions and loss functions in another video. But today our goal is to create our neural network from scratch. So let's do that. So we will define each layer using a class. So I'm going to write the layer class. So this will take three parameters as input. First is the number of inputs, then the number of neurons in this particular layer, and the activation function that this layer is going to use. So using these values, let's initialize our weights and our biases. So we've talked about the shape of weights in our previous videos. So the number of rows will be equal to the number of neurons in our layer, and the number of columns will be equal to the number of inputs coming into this particular layer. And B, our bias would simply be a column vector that holds the bias value for each neuron in our layer. So before we initialize our activation function, let's call it ACT, short for activation. Let's create a mapping of all these activation functions that we've defined. So I've used a dictionary to define my activation function along with its derivative. So I can write self.activation and the derivative of my activation is equal to. So if I pass in the value, let's say tanh in this, my variables act and deact would automatically be initialized with the tanh and derivative of tanh activation function. So this is just a neat way to initialize my activations without having to just write a lot of if statements. Next, let's define our feedforward function. This function feedforward takes in one parameter as input, which is the output of the previous layer, or this can also be our input x if this particular layer is my first layer. So we've already seen that our feedforward equation is z is equal to the dot product between my weights and my inputs from the previous layer plus the bias. This a previous would be that input from the previous layer. So I'm going to save this input value because we will need this later while we are doing backpropagation. Next, let's find the value of z. So I'm using the dot function in NumPy to calculate the dot product between the weights and my inputs and adding the bias value to this. So I have the value of z. Next, I find the output of this layer by calling my activation function on this value of z. So now I can return this output value. This method basically performs one step of feed forward through this particular layer. So next we'll implement the backpropagation function. Here are the equations that we derived from my previous video. Check it out if you haven't already. So let's use these equations and write our backpropagation function. So this value of dA, this would be passed from the previous layer while going back through our network, and this would be calculated in that layer and simply returned to this layer. In case of the output layer, this dA value would be the derivative of my cost function with respect to my output y bar. So one thing to note here is that while writing code, all my derivative variables would start with d, okay, and these will be with respect to my cost. So instead of writing, let's say, dou c by dou a, I'm going to simply write dou a because all my derivatives are with respect to cost, right? So when I write dou a or maybe dou w, so keep that in mind. Now let's find the value of dou c by dou z. So this is equal to the product of my derivative of my activation function with the given value of dA. So the value of dou c by dou w is equal to the dot product of this dz and the transpose of my input from the previous layer, right? A previous. So this is why we save the value here so that we can use it here. One thing to note here is that dz will have the same shape as z. So its number of rows will be equal to my number of neurons, and the number of columns would actually be equal to the number of samples m. Also, the shape of this would be m by the number of inputs. So finally we get the shape of dw as the number of neurons by the number of inputs, just like we defined here. So always remember that the shape of the derivatives would always be equal to the shape of the actual variables. When that happens, we need to normalize this dot product, because this would be the dot product that includes or sums up all the values in all my samples, okay? So to get the average value across all samples, I'm going to divide this by the number of samples. So this is 1 by number of samples, or the column value of dz times the dot product, okay? Similarly, let's find the value of db. So you can see that I've done something very weird here. I've found the sum and everything. So why this is done is because the shape of dz and the shape of db do not match. In our equation, we've seen that a value of dou c by dou b is simply equal to the value of dou c by dou z. But in practice, we cannot do that because dou c by dou b is simply a column vector where the number of rows is equal to the number of neurons. Whereas dz, the number of rows is equal to my number of neurons and the number of columns is equal to my number of samples, okay? So what we are doing here is that we are finding the sum of all these columns. This basically reduces dz to a single column vector where each value would be the sum across all the samples. So we divide it by the total number of samples so that we get the average value. So basically this is done just to match shape. So just like we got this value from the layer before this, we are going to find the value of dA and call it dA previous to pass it to the layer that is going to come after this, okay? And we simply return this value dA previous. And also before doing this, we need to update the values of our weights and biases using our learning equation. So self dot weights is equal to weights minus some learning rate times. So I haven't defined my learning rate yet, so let me do that. So I'm defining it as a class variable. Let be 0.1, and similarly self dot bias equal to self. Next, we are ready to define our neural network, okay? So let's start by defining my values of x train and y train. So these are the values of x train and y train that I'll be using. So like I said, we'll be implementing the XOR function. So 0 XOR 0 is going to be 0, 0 XOR 1 is 1, similarly 1 XOR 0 1, and 1 XOR 1 is 0. So you can see that the shape of this x train variable is the dimension of my input, which is 2 by the number of samples, right? So there are 4 samples, each of dimension 2. That's why I have 2 rows and 4 columns, okay? Similarly, the shape of a y train would be a single row with 4 columns where 4 is equal to my number of samples, okay? Next, let's define the value of my number of samples, which is 4. and epochs, let be 1000. So next we will initialize each layer of our network, or we will basically create our neural network. So I'm going to call this layers. Inside that, my first layer would have two inputs, and it would have 3 neurons, and the activation function that I'll be using is tanh. And my second layer would have 3 inputs because the number of neurons in this is 3. It would have 1 neuron, and I'll use the sigmoid activation function. So this is my output layer. The dimension of this should be equal to the dimension of this. Okay. Next, I'm going to define an empty list called cos, just so that I can save our cos values at each epoch, and we can visualize those values in the end. So next, let's say for epoch in range epochs, let the value of a be equal to x train. Next, what we'll do is for layer in layers. So for each layer I need to run feed forward, right? So I'll basically be calling layer feed forward upon a. So this would return the value of feed forward performed upon the inputs, right? And this would go as the input to the next layer, right? So all I have to do is do this. So for my first layer, this would calculate the value for feed forward for x train and store it in this. And in the next layer, it would basically take the value in a, which right now is the output from the previous layer, and run feed forward on it. So the final output of feed forward after running it through every layer of my network would be stored in a. So now we are ready to calculate our cost. So I'm going to write. So this is my cost equation implemented. We give the actual value and our predicted value into my loss function. So I'm going to save this value to this cost list to draw a graph later. Next, we will calculate the value of the derivative of my output with respect to the cost, and this is actually equal to the dA. So we will calculate this value of dA and pass it to our backpropagation function. So here dA is equal to my derivative of loss function. Now we are ready to perform backpropagation. So for backpropagation, like we had discussed, we start from the last layer and go back. So I'm going to write for layer in reversed layers. So just like we did for feed forward, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to write dA is equal to layer dot backprop dA. So after the calculation in my output layer, this would return the value which is to be passed to the next layer, okay, which would be stored in dA. And in the next iteration, layer would be equal to my first layer, and the same thing would go as input. In both layers, the value of my weights and biases will get updated, and thus the learning will take place. So after running for 1000 epochs, all my values of weights and biases in these layer objects would be trained, and now we are ready to make predictions. So I'm going to use this same piece of code to make my prediction also. So if you had another test set here, then you would be using that to make the predictions and test the performance of the network. But since we are implementing the XOR function here, there are only 4 test cases, so we are using our same training set to test it out. Okay, so print a. Let's try and run this. So its activation is not defined. Okay, I made a spelling mistake. Let's try and run this one. Okay, the spelling. So you can see that this is almost equal to 0, and these two values are almost equal to 1, and this is also almost equal to 0, and this is exactly how we want the output to be. So now next let's try and plot our cost function. Okay, so to do that, I'll be using matplotlib. So here we have our epochs on the x-axis, so 1000 epochs, and our costs that we appended to this list after each iteration on the y-axis. Okay, so you can see that the cost is decreasing just like how we want it to. So let's try and increase the values of epochs to 1500 and see what happens. Yeah, so you can see that the cost reaches somewhere around here and it basically stops reducing, right? So it reaches a value that is very very close to zero, and these values of TW and TB also correspondingly become very small, and so the updates made to W and B are smaller. So that's it basically. That's how you implement a neural network from scratch. So instead of using this dataset, you can either come up with your own dataset, or you can experiment with other simple datasets. So this obviously is a very simple implementation and cannot be used practically, but I think this is a very good example to learn the inner workings of a neural network and actually be able to see what exactly happens at each stage. And that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So if you found this video useful, then please like it and subscribe to my channel for more such content, and I'll see you in the next one.